a brand is only a set of perceptions. If you know the narrative and you begin to build that story around who you are, then you're going to start attracting those people that are similar to that, that have the similar values, that get you. And that's the easiest way to build business and expand.
Good.
You're in pull mode, or pulling inward versus a push mechanism of just marketing unconsciously. It's traction mode.
Yeah.
Right? There's no assertion, there's only attraction. So in pushing information out there, it's almost like you're in a lack mindset and environment.
This is a conversation that I had with Suzanne Tulien. She is the writer of this book, Personal Brand Clarity, but also Brand Ascension is her company. She helps you identify, define, and align with what you want to be known for. Master in branding, great episode. But before we get started with the show, I'd like to thank our sponsors. One of our sponsors is Recon Marketing. Recon is the fastest growing social media marketing agency in Colorado. Recon focuses on becoming an extension of your business while providing social media management, review management, and digital marketing. Recon Marketing, putting you on the radar. Our next sponsor is Atmos Planning. Atmos Planning is changing the way business owners and real estate investors are served by the financial industry. Their website is atmosplanning.com, ATMOS Our next sponsor is Planet Duct. Planet Duct offers astronomical air duct cleaning with the most powerful vacuum trucks in Colorado. They have taken air duct cleaning to a new intergalactic level that is far more powerful and proactive than anything on the market in El Paso County and Southern Colorado. So now let's get on with the show. Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the #1 podcast in Colorado Springs. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I'm the host of the show. Today, I'm sitting here with Suzanne Tulien with Brand Ascension. Can you tell us a little bit about what your business is?
My business is all about helping companies and solo professionals, I have 2 separate markets, identify, define, and align themselves to their unique value position. So I've built programs, methodologies, processes to help them really become more conscious, strategic, and deliberate in delivering on their promise and walking their talk.
Okay, sweet. So you have like courses that people can go through?
I do for both the business with employees. That's the only way I can describe them, and then the solo professional. They're 2 separate. Yes, I have an online course called Ignite Your Personal Brand Presence.
Okay.
That the solo professional, and I'm talking about those people that are consultants, speakers, coaches, distributors, right? Agents, brokers, those types of people that own their own book of business and they realize that they are the brand of their business. It's not their product or service. So that's that particular market.
Okay, sweet. Well, I can't wait to get more into that in this episode, but first I'm going to roll the intro music and then we'll get started.
Excellent.
Yeah. This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. Back to me. Yeah, usually the guests can see that little intro thing going on because it's usually on that side of the room.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, that's cool. So what got you into to doing all this stuff?
Well, this internal perspective was something that I ended up pivoting into because for years when I first started working, I was in marketing, communications, graphic design, and all I'm doing for the client really is disseminating or communicating the brand's information out to its markets, right? And I ended up owning my own design firm for a couple of years, and I called it ID by Design, and I focused on corporate identity design, which is logo design, and different collateral pieces to match that. So everything looked consistent, right? And that was all good and fine, but after about 3 years, and I grew my business 30% almost every year,
Nice.
I realized that my clients weren't really being served by what I was doing because I uncovered that they themselves didn't truly know who they were as a brand. And they thought that by upgrading their logo look and feel, cleaning up a website or, just upgrading their visuals, that would change the way they did business or how business was brought to them. And I was realizing that, gosh, if they don't even know who they are, then what am I doing for them? And I realized all I was really doing for them, to tell you the truth, was putting lipstick on the pig, so to speak.
Okay.
And that shocked me when I really came to that conclusion because I knew that they really hadn't done the process of identifying and defining that value position. They were doing all of these external things to help their business grow. And really, it was about their state of being and how they were actually delivering on the promises they were making in the marketing. And so that's when I really decided I was going to shift, and I'm not going to design anymore for a while until we understand who you are as a brand, because the design elements, all those visual pieces and the marketing narrative has to match that in order to be congruent and deliver in that very succinct way, so that you start to build trust and advocacy with your markets.
Okay. So
does that make sense?
Yeah. So would you say that you're a coach in a sense?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Coach consultant.
Coach consultant, because it sounds like you're really helping in a lot of ways that a coach would with someone, whether it's in their business or whether it's in their life, really figuring out who they are and those really core meanings that drive them. Is that what you mainly do?
That's what the process, Brand DNA, is really all about. It's a process to flesh out what those attributes are, so that we can all be, let's say I'm an employee, I've got 10 or 15, 20 employees, right? Or I'm an employer. And I want to infuse my vision, my mission, what I want this business to become into the hearts and minds of my employees. So that just begs the question, then who are we to infuse that into them, right? We have to name it. And this is the process that helps them name it, so these employees can hang their hat on something, be proud about what they're doing, and have a purpose that's bigger than just the doing of what they're doing every day.
Yeah.
Right? And then for the solo professional, obviously, if you are the brand of your business, then you have to understand or name those attributes that make you unique, those skill sets, what your personality is, the wisdom you have to bring to the table. Those are the pieces that make you so much more unique than trying to market based on your product or service. Because you can buy from 50,000 other coaches or 50,000 other vendors out there. We've got the access to the World Wide Web, right? So people are starting to realize that they themselves are that uniqueness. They're the missing piece to their marketing distinction.
And how does that help them when they identify that? What kind of things happen?
So many things happen. So many things, because especially when I'm working with the solopreneur, it's really not just about their business. It has to filter into everything that they're doing in life, right? So all the buckets of their life, their family, their community, their friendships, and their business and their business relationships all begin to transform and shift because of their own clarity. It brings in a lot of confidence. It raises their vibration, and they start manifesting things that they never could before because they were unclear. Clarity to me is the basis for action. And until we can get super clear and really be the driver of our own bus, so to speak, or Mercedes or Porsche or whatever you want to make it, then we are really only able to live in a very reactionary state to our external environments. But when we turn inward and we can really identify what those attributes are, and then I can step in and consciously live them, then I am the driver of my life. And so you can see how that could literally impact how anyone would react or discern differently and change their lives by that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what is some of the things you do to help bring that out?
Yeah, so in the book, the Personal Brand Clarity book, that was my COVID project. I wrote it because I had designed the online course, and then I had time over quarantine to make that course into a book to give it more access to some of those solo professionals. And in it, that outlines how to create your own personal brand presence through mapping out attributes. Like, of course, core values have to be a part of that, right? We have to take the deep dive and really understand what we lean into.
I designed my new logo based off my core values and not my services.
Beautiful. See, that consciousness is what I'm trying to perpetuate in my clients' mindsets, right? So you're discerning colors, fonts, the look and feel of that. Symbols, yes, to be resonant with what you believe it makes you different and who you are, right? That's so, so powerful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a red dot on my new logo, and it represents Mars, actually.
Nice.
Which, if you know my story, like, I plan on going to Mars one day. So
I
yeah.
don't know that. Well, I was going to say, were you just beamed down from Mars?
No, I'm not an alien. I don't think
But
so.
you want to be on
Yes,
Mars, right?
exactly.
'Cause
I do
it
want to
works
be,
both ways.
I want to be an alien, but I'm not an alien.
Okay,
And I'm
all
going to
right.
make it a reality.
That's cool. So if you know the narrative and you begin to build that story around who you are, then you're going to start attracting those people that are similar to that have the similar values, that get you, right? And that's the easiest way to build business and expand, you know? It's
For
just...
sure. And you're
yeah.
not fighting against, you're not going, it just works out better,
You're not chasing the client anymore.
Exactly.
You're in pull mode, or pulling inward versus a push mechanism of just marketing unconsciously.
And if you talked about higher vibrations, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's a lower vibration.
Yes.
And then in a pool is a higher vibration.
It's traction mode.
Yeah.
Right? There's no assertion. There's only attraction. So in pushing information out there, it's almost like you're in a lack mindset and environment versus the attraction where you just build that vibration and you know what you can bring to the table. You're so confident about it and people can feel that.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you how do you get that attraction? What are some things that someone can do? I know that you could probably elaborate on that for hours, but
I know. Again, it's all in the book. But
exactly.
it's really, the efforting of fleshing out and landing on some attributes that you value, and then a set of core attributes we call brand style attributes, which outline your base default personality, right? So when you name those things about your personality, you're creating a profile in a sense, or a lane that you get to stay in, that people become familiar with. Andrew,
Yeah.
oh, he's that guy that does this, right?
Yeah, I love his laugh. It's
Yeah.
what I get a lot.
It's a part of your personality,
Yeah.
for sure. And you get known for that. And then you can consciously be more consistent in that. You can consciously be more authentic in that. People say all the time, that support you. You may have heard from your parents or your friends that, oh, just be yourself, be authentic, and you'll be fine. Well, I've had that told to me so many times.
It doesn't mean anything?
Well, it didn't until I realized, who am I to be authentic in? And that's really what started driving me to create a process for people to do that efficiently, because one of my core values is efficiency. And how can I get there faster? And then, just begin to manifest in that state, knowing who I am, feeling good, raising my vibration, and being myself, right? That is the cleanest solution to happiness.
I think so, yeah, because you wouldn't want to work with someone who your personalities are constantly colliding.
Exactly.
That just makes things a little rough, and it makes you not enjoy what you do as well.
Have you ever fired a client?
I have.
That's the reason, right? But it's interesting. You get that contrast in life so that you can learn those types of things. You can become more aware of what you want and what you don't want, and it's a ebb and flow. But the more you become aware, the more we can begin to discern differently into, again, becoming more conscious about my brand, my personal brand. Am I on brand right now, or am I off brand right now? If I'm in a funk and I'm feeling weird, I know I'm out of alignment, right? So let me go read through some of the things that I came up with for myself and remember. That's what a mantra is for, which is included in activity in the book. And we also develop a why statement. So you can really get down to the core, but it's through levels. There's several levels of the process so that you can peel away that onion and really become familiar with who you are specifically. Not who you're aspiring to be, or if, it's not about being like somebody else at all. It's about finding your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
Yeah, through the process again.
Okay.
So we talked about the core values. We talked about the brand style attributes. And then we get into a section where we really begin to flush out and remember what makes us different. What are the experiences that we've been through in our lives? What are the skill sets that we bring to the table? What are our own levels of expertise? What philosophies do we have that we lean into, that we can bring that's different to the table, so to speak, in our everyday lives? So when you do this sort of deep brainstorming activity, you start fleshing out some of these things. And I have found that so many of my clients, including myself going through my own process, you end up falling back in love with who you are.
Yeah, okay.
And, you know?
And you get excited and rejuvenated.
You really do. And it shows. It shows in, when you're in a sales meeting. It shows when you're serving a client. It shows that you're loving.
When you're doing a podcast.
Yes, when you're doing a podcast. It's so liberating to have ownership around who you are. That you're not, again, being reactionary to everything outside of you, but rather you're being internally driven by who you know yourself to be.
You know what's really awesome that I just drew a connection with? You're talking about brand, and this is the book's called Personal Brand Clarity,
Yes.
and there's I guess you could call it a product that my video production company, limb of my company, provides. And like what we do is we go through a lot of these steps, but we create a video that's like a 2.5 minute long video that takes a viewer through all those steps of your brand, essentially.
Yeah.
Like it's really awesome. Like it goes through logical and emotional things.
Yes.
Has to have a little good consistency of both, because
Yes.
people buy off of emotion and they justify it with logic. And so, well, that was loud.
Incoming.
Yes, exactly. What's going on? And so it tells a story too at the beginning, so people can connect to it, like you were saying. What makes you unique? So it talks about what makes them unique, essentially.
Yes.
And then it also, like after it goes through the logical part, like what they do, it goes back to the emotional part, which is what makes them different. And like.
Yes.
Before we even start filming, we have a deep dive strategy session where I help pull out a lot of that like there's a lot more than I do than just video production when I do these kinds of videos. In a lot of sense, it's like when I did my Million Cup speech last year, I even said, like, in a lot of sense, I am kind of like a coach in a way too.
Yes, you are.
Because I'm coaching that out of them, but I'm allowing them to capture it with the TV magic.
Right. And in that instant, you really get that authentic sense of self for them, and they can show up in that space, in that moment.
And then capture it, and then they can use this tool
Yes.
infinitely across, millions of people if it so sees,
Yes. The problem I've seen is that what you're doing is awesome, but sometimes if they haven't done the deeper work,
Yes.
it's temporary,
It
right?
is, yeah.
And then they walk out the door and they start getting reactionary again because they let the world outside of themselves. They live a life outside of themselves instead of internally. But what I can help them do is align themselves with that so much.
So I just need to refer them to you, and then they
To continue the process.
To continue the process, yes.
Or before you get them, I can have that story.
Yeah.
They can figure it out through the process and come to you ready to go.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
I actually am doing one of these projects with a client right now, and I'm going to refer her to read this book too before we do the deep dive, because we haven't done the deep dive yet. She's actually been doing this really cool 100 days off thing, and like she's just doing something that she wants to do for herself.
That's awesome.
But she decided she wanted to do the video like right before she started that.
Oh.
So she just reached out to me recently, and she's ready to start the process.
You know what would be fun is to have a before and after video and just to see like this transformation of awareness that you can read in the video on the before and the after. It would be kind of cool.
That is interesting, yeah.
But what's really interesting too is about personal branding that I want your audience to really understand is that everyone already has a brand. It's not that they're going out and getting one, right? The good news is that they already have one, right?
Yeah.
The bad news is they
Is it
already
a bad
have
one?
Right? The real question about this whole concept is that are you in control of it? And a brand is only a set of perceptions. That's really all it is. And we have an opportunity to get more conscious about controlling those perceptions based on how we operate, how we act and behave and show up. And then that is going to lend itself to the perceptions others pick up on.
For sure.
Right?
And there's a lot of things that each of us probably do that we don't realize, don't have the self-awareness for. So that's where that self-awareness piece is huge, you know?
Yeah.
Like understanding what you're doing. Like, are you doing something that's making like 50% of people you talk to go around and say, this person is doing this thing?
Yeah. Like if you're in the mode of always saying, well, why does that always happen to me? Or I'm so misunderstood all the time, then that's a sign that you really need to start taking a look at who you are and how you're showing up.
It's a symptom, kind of.
It is. It really is a symptom of lack of clarity and a little bit of confusion or reactionary, being so reactionary. And I'm on this mission to help people and businesses create a collective consciousness around their own brand so that they can really begin to show up that way on a regular level. And the world that they live in is going to become so much more ease and flow because of that.
For sure.
And they're happier, like we talked about earlier. Yeah.
And that's the best metric, I think, to have is happiness. Is that your phone or that's your alarm, huh? Is that your meter going?
That's my meter going. I got about 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So we'll start winding this down and wrapping up. It's been a really good episode so far, I think, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and experience.
Thank you so much.
So is there anything specific that you'd like to promote today before we start closing this down?
Yeah, just I have that online course for the personal brand. I really want to support the entrepreneurs that are working so hard to make change and impact their own worlds and their customers. And it's personalbrandpresence.com. You can get to the landing page that talks about the course. My book, of course, is on Amazon.com.
It's on Amazon. Do you have an audio version of it?
I don't yet.
Okay.
I'm considering doing that.
I could probably help you out. Help you out with that actually as well. I know you can also go on Fiverr, but that's something like I said, like simplifying the creative side of business. Yeah. Like I did audio production and music before I even did video.
Nice.
I've been doing graphic design before longer even that. So it's like that's still a creative side of business.
Sure.
So it still falls under something that I can do. I mean, we're using the equipment that we would be using for recording your audiobook. Yeah. And there's certain things. I've talked to someone who has an audiobook and she told me exactly the reasons why she loved hiring someone who that was something that they did is because they knew how to walk them through the process. Actually, she hired someone who just did the voice themselves.
Okay.
She didn't want to, that's why she felt that because they knew how to present themselves on a mic.
That's
but
right.
if you want to read your own, I can help you with that, I think.
Awesome.
And I love audiobooks that are read by the author as well. I think it just adds another flavor to it.
Yeah, because you add your own energy, the energy that you had when you wrote the book.
And it's your voice.
So yes, it's very, and I've done so much narration and audio
yeah,
anyway.
you know all that stuff.
Yeah,
I forgot you were telling me that.
It would be pretty fun and easy for me to do. The other thing I would tell the audience is just, my website is so full of information and some freebies and things like that. The Kickstarter toolkit is awesome. And that's at brandascension.com. And I'll leave your audience by saying a quote that I always leave in my workshops. And it says that your marketing efforts might get your prospects in the door, but it's your brand that keeps them coming back and telling their friends.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Yeah. Well, sweet. Do you have social media that people can find you on?
I do. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Join me on LinkedIn. That's mostly for my corporate clients. Facebook is mostly for my solopreneur clients. But join me there.
Nice. Well, sweet. You got TikTok?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to go in that realm.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is I think YouTube Shorts is taking over TikTok. So
I have a YouTube channel, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Personal Brand Clarity is what it's called. Yeah.
And well, this has been great.
It has been.
I don't want you to get a ticket on your meter.
I know. I gotta
go.
So
we'll wrap it up. All right. This has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one. I got buttons.
Excellent.
And controls.
So you can see that this could easily be an hour.
It could have been, yes.
It's really, it can get really deep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But, short episodes work too.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much.